My name is Bunny Ursley, and I live in Stevensville, Montana. My father is Asa Urian Jr. He was my hero. He was a born and raised Montana cowboy and lived his whole life in Bitterroot. Daddy worked for the Forest Service for many years, retired from there. Was always involved in horses, grew up with horses, and worked draft horses. Him and his brother always did draft horse competitions. They would go out and plow the Keller Wildlife Refuge. They taught people how to log with their mules and horses. He was just really into that type of thing. He grew up on a farm, and that's what they did. They did all their haying and everything with those horses. There was 4 of us girls, and I was like the little boy because he didn't have one. So I ended up being his little boy, and he took me out of school for fishing trips, hunting trips. I went everywhere with my dad. And we would drive up in the mountains, unload the horses, and it would be in the evening, and we would ride until way in the dark to get in to the little cabin that we would go to. Daddy lived with me and my husband for 6 years. We built a new home and brought him and his horses out and built a barn for the horses, and he just enjoyed life out there so much. We grew our hay, and every year he'd go out and try to buck bales, and not try, he did. And we would always say, "Daddy, you don't have to do this anymore. You put your time in." And we would get up, go to work in the morning. He would be out changing sprinkler pipes. He'd change them when we got home. And it was constant saying, "You don't have to do these things." But he said, "What do you want me to do? Sit here and die?" That was just my dad's way. He never quit. Eventually it got to where he kind of started losing some of his memory, and he couldn't remember what happened today or yesterday, but he could remember years ago. I had to take him to the nursing home, thinking that I could still bring you back home and take care of him. And of course, as time went on, he needed more help, and I had quit my job a year before to stay home and be with him, and it just kind of went downhill. And so I spent every day at the nursing home with him, and they would do, their part. Eventually it got to where he couldn't walk anymore, and that's when the wonderful people at hospice came to help us. Just to comfort him and comfort us. Good people. They just were there for, like I said, not only my dad, they were there for us. Because emotionally it drains you, it takes a lot out of you. You still feel the hurt, It seems like it never really goes away. It gets easier with time, but you miss those good times. It was just comforting to know that there was somebody there that could do the things we just weren't up to or just couldn't get there, The nurses came. They always made sure he had his bath. He was becoming very fragile, and they were so good with him. And I know he loved them, and he's always had little witty things and wisecracks, and they just were so wonderful and tell me how much they loved him. And there's a wonderful service out there, Aspen Hospice, because they're there for you no matter what. They're there for you emotionally. They're there for your family member to be comfortable. You couldn't ask for better people, and I think it takes very special people to be able to help you when somebody's in a need of comforting and love and caring, and you know that your family member's in good hands.